content of the semester, or is it how is it? What's the process like at UNI, and UNY?
Maybe for mid-semester, Dr. Roxana. I will ask Miss Cherika first, then we will...
Okay. If she wants me to give a few questions, I can do that, but I need to know what's the situation. Probably I can help in whatever I can for the questions on the content that I've covered for the last 2 weeks. So this is the 3rd week I'll be teaching for UNY, inshallah.
This is 3 weeks. Assalamualaikum, Ibu Cherika, selamat pagi. Selamat datang.
Cikgu Cherika.
Selamat pagi, Ibu Roh.
Pagi. Juga daripada rumah itu ataupun di UNY? Is it from?
Ya, saya masih di rumah ini, belum berangkat. Nanti berangkat mungkin setelah ini saya baru berangkat.
Oh, okay, alright. Cantik ya Ibu Cherikanya.
Iya.
Cantik.
Bisa kita mulai, Ibu?
Bisa, silakan, Mas.
Okay, good morning everyone, selamat pagi. Sekarang minggu ketiga perkuliahan bersama Dr. Roxana. Semoga teman-teman bisa mengikuti ya, dan kalau misalkan masih ada yang mau ditanyain, jangan sungkan, silakan langsung tanya aja, mau ke saya, mau ke Ibu Cherika, atau langsung ke Dr. Roxana juga, beliau welcome. Jadi jangan sampai dipikirin sendiri, pusing sendiri gitu. Jadi kalau misalkan memang merasa kesulitan, silakan kontak kami. For Dr. Roxana, maybe the class is yours. So let's start our class. Before start our class, maybe we need to pray first. Selamat pagi. Silakan berdoa menurut agama dan kepercayaannya masing-masing. Dipersilakan. Oke, baik. Terima kasih. Selamat pagi. Silakan Dr. Roxana.
Okay, thank you, Rizky, and welcome, Ibu Cherika. I will start with the class today on the ergogenic aids and supplement, because we have actually covered the hydration and also isotonic drinks last week. So I will not actually go into that again this week. So we'll start with the ergogenic aids, and also probably next week I will include a little bit on a glycemic index, which is very important in terms of nutrition and performance. So it's not in the handout that's given in the course outline, but I think I should a little bit mention on it because it's actually important in terms of how we intervene with nutrition for sports performance. Okay, so let's start. Okay, so as a introduction on supplement, I'm going to start with the safety guideline and also regulation. Given whatever sources that I have for today is based on the IOC, International Olympic Committee, yeah, and probably the base are more on the United States guideline as well, right? So if anyone have any question, can always stop me and ask, and I'll be glad to answer if I can, okay, inshallah. All right, okay, so the slides are based on this article that I've actually given you, yeah, which is actually titled Practical Issues in Evidence-Based Use of Performance Supplements, yeah. So it's actually emphasize on the interaction of supplements and also the users how they actually react to these supplements that being introduced in the market. Okay, so as a introduction, so what does it mean by supplement? Okay, so usually when we say supplement, is not really a food or something that's taken with really a monetary guideline or specific guideline that everyone has to endure to. So it means that it can be from vitamins, it can be from minerals, it can be from the herb side, or it can be from any type of nutrition background, or it can be amino acids or whatnot. Yeah, so it's not something that it has to go through like for in Malaysia or probably in Indonesia that goes through a certain background on checks, because there's so many supplements that do not have any food and drug approval permission given to, for the retailers to sell, see? So some supplement that you take might not be safe and whatnot. So those are the things that you might want to take into account in any supplement that for a exerciser or for an athlete to use. Yeah, and usually the supplements are sell in a concentrated form, or usually in an extract or combination of many types of ingredients. Okay, so those are actually classified by the US Food and Drug Administration on what supplement is. So in the United States, or maybe in Malaysia as well, it is actually a market that is actually claimed to be really high density volume of money making. So in the United States, it takes about 40 billion of industry in supplement itself. Okay, so throughout the world. Yeah, so when we see a lot of fast supplement being introduced every now and then. If you actually browse in the internet, there's so many supplements actually in the market. However, within the athletes context, or what are the supplements usually used by them? Well, 58 to 62% of athletes use a variety of dietary supplements, such as multivites. Yeah, you usually have that as a supplement used by many athletes. Vitamin C, protein products like whey protein, yeah, sport drinks, sport bars, energy drinks, so name it. These are the top supplements used in the market. All right. However, before anyone use it, not just any athlete or active exerciser, we need to actually take account on the safety side of the supplement. Yeah. So in other words, we need to actually see what are the claims that being made, or any clinical trials being made. Okay. In terms of like blood doping or drug tests, we can see actually all these supplements come in hand and might be, most of it are quite dangerous in the sense of for health. Yeah. So because of that, it is a very wide and also dangerous thing that any athlete would have to take note on what they ingest or what they consume in their body. Yeah, before actually they need to actually have a very thorough understanding on these supplements. What are the mechanism of it? So today we will actually highlight a few in terms of not the supplements but ergogenic aids in terms of performance. Yeah. So as the Act for Dietary Supplement Act in the United States, first safety issue that they consider is supplements do not need to be proven safe or effective before entering the market. So this is different between drugs and supplement because supplement is considered as food. usually food do not need to have any licensing or any approval from the authorities to actually enter the market, sold in the market. So this is quite dangerous in a way that I've mentioned just now. So if you do take any supplement, you do need to check in the internet whether, you know, certain brands or certain health claims given, if it's actually give any toxicity or anything like that. So yeah, so you need to actually have a very well-versed knowledge about any supplements that you want to take, because it's not actually being monitored among the food and drug authorities. Same case in Malaysia. I'm sure it is same case in Indonesia or whatnot. Okay, and usually, and of course, there are lots and lots of supplements entering from China, and there are so much of issues from that side of the world. So you need to actually take note of that. And the second one, the safety issue, is on the good manufacturing practices, whether it's enforced or not. Okay, so it means that when they manufacture all these supplements, does they follow all these guidelines, safety guidelines at the manufacturers or any place that, any premise that actually manufacture all these supplements. Some can be really dirty, you know, or it can be in terms of contamination between the workers and the environment of the premises. So yeah, that's the second issue that we need to also look at. Yeah, so it's really hard to make any enforcement as well, because some authorities, we don't know where they are being manufactured. Okay, can be in a very nice packaging, but it is manufactured in really poor condition premise. Yeah, so you need to highlight all this. So you need to know who are the manufacturers and whatnot. The third issue, safety issue, is actually the supplements. Even though it must be proven unsafe before it actually can require its removal from the market. So before it, there's a lot of lab testing and all that in order to be to prove that it's unsafe. Then it can be removed from the market. You see, so it might take a long time, and before that, many have actually bought and consumed all these supplements. All right. So again, monitoring supplements in the market is quite tedious. It's a very complex issue, complex in terms of handling, and not in Malaysia, for example, the authorities do not have enough manpower to actually supervise or monitor all the supplements that's in the market. All right. So as I mentioned just now, the few tops dietary supplement that's used in the used by the athletes, three top categories are the muscle building supplements, weight loss supplements, and also sexual enhancement. Okay, not just for the athletes, but also for a normal population as well. All right. So these supplements are actually in the top categories because it actually play a big role in the society. Okay, big role in the society. So there are many classes in terms of the supplements. Let's actually look at it one by one. Class 1, there is reasonable probability that we use the exposure to a product will actually cause serious adverse health consequences or death. So this is actually when one supplement is being recalled because of this, it actually give an adverse health consequence or death. Usually, if you take note of, you remember certain supplements or even fruit products in the market 2 years ago. For example, on baby milk powder, really bad toxicity level of composition in baby milk powder that's being manufactured in China. So many of the milk powders were actually called out and recalled and being out from the market. You know, so those are the things, not just things that it can be in tablet form. It can be in anything. Yeah, it can be in any form, because supplements can be in any form. It can be in powder form. It can be in gels, in tablets. You know, so yeah. So you need to have a look out on many of these issues. So that is one example. Okay. So as I mentioned just now, there is with the safety side, there is health concerns in terms of the supplements that's being used by normal population and also athletes. So what are the issues? Let's go with the physiological issues in terms of each system. Okay. So first issue will be on the cardiovascular issue. It can actually promote hypertension or death, or actually in cardiac arrest or things like that, myocardial infarction with this dietary supplement use. So that's one issue. Okay. Another issue is on the renal issue. It can be damage to the renal, especially with herbs context of supplement. A lot of herbs that is in the market in terms of supplement is not fully diagnostic in terms of the trials, in terms of the especially clinical trials. Yeah. So we do not know the interaction between the herbs. Usually the supplement is a combination of ingredients. So we don't know, even if, let's say for example, one of the herb, Nigella sativa, or probably it is known as habatus sauda in Malay. Yeah. So or jintan hitam. Nigella sativa is used for increase of immune system. So for athletes, it can be used for increment of immunity, right? So, but certain supplement, they actually combine many herbs in one tablet, for example. So they take all this extract of all these herbs and put into one tablet. So you do not know if there are any interaction between all these herbs that actually is in that tablet, or that we call it as supplement, that would actually have toxicity in human, right? So you really need to know all these matters. Then you would try to probably think of taking the supplement, you see. So renal issue is really important, because most of the herb supplement can actually cause injury to the renal system. Third is actually on the, let's see, on hepatic issues, on your liver, right? And 20% of the drug induced in liver injuries are from all these dietary supplements, okay? So if renal, you have a pair, you have two renal, you have two. But with liver, hepatic issues, it is hard if it's injured, then probably you would have a chronic or a critical issue with your physiological function of the body. Yeah. So and most of these dietary supplements comes from amino acid based supplement, and also herbal products as well. Seizures, it is actually on the brain. What seizure is acute neurotoxicity, which occur after ingestion of all these supplements. Yeah, on symptomatic property. So probably it gives effect on your neurotransmitters. Yeah? Neurotransmitter. You know what neurotransmitters is? The difference between neurotransmitters and hormones. Hormones is usually regulated by your certified respective organs, just like your renal. We have renal giving out some hormones. But for neurotransmitter, all these chemical regulators are from the brain, you see. So for example, we have the serotonins, or we have the acetylcholine, we have the epinephrine, norepinephrine. Those are all neurotransmitters. So certain of these supplements actually give a neurotoxicity effect on the brain, and it gives irregular of the neurotransmitters as well, or it can actually incur on the brain itself that it actually reduces the blood to the brain. So you need to, so it will actually develop seizure, or also it can also develop in terms of brain cell death. So you don't want that to happen, yeah, because the major organ in our body is, besides our heart, is the brain. Without the brain, off you go. Okay, so you need to actually take this very important note as well. And also medication interaction. Most of the athletes might be healthy in a way that they do not have any chronic disease or whatnot. But if you'll be surprised that some of the athletes do have some chronic diseases like asthma. I know a few of our athletes are asthmatic, yeah, but they actually athletes, national athletes. So they have all this. They have to look on this medication that they take, if there are any interaction and with the supplements that they do consume or they do ingest in their body. Yeah. So athletes need to be truthful with their healthcare providers when in terms of supplements. Sometimes they don't tell, they are not truthful enough to their nutritionists or to their doctors, yeah, and it will give some negative interaction on what they take and with their medication. So really careful on this. So the next important thing on these supplements is to see the tolerable limits of what this supplement give and how much we should take in terms of the dosages. Okay, probably it will not pose any risk, but most of it do, especially from the herbal supplements. Most of it does give risk if you take more than the tolerable amount or the dosage. Okay, so and please take note that not all supplements have the tolerable upper limits. Okay, so we do not know, because there's so many herbs, especially so many herbs in the market, and not all are being clinical trials. Okay, so meaning that not all are lab tested. So we do not know how all this supplement would react with the body because we do not have the dosages in terms of the guideline of the dosages. Okay, so really be careful with certain supplement that is really new in the market or whatnot. Okay, and there's usually all this exceeding micronutrient probably would actually micronutrient from the vitamins and minerals. Especially take a water soluble like for the vitamins is a less concern, because actually all this excess can be excreted out from in the urine, right? But however, there are some instances supplementation with certain water soluble vitamins can be toxic. All right, so you want to highlight with that as well. Some of the B complex vitamins can be toxic if it's high. Some fat-soluble vitamins which are not excreted out from the body, yeah, as well as minerals, are not as easily cleared by the body, because it can be excreted out, so it can be toxic at high levels, right? So always want to see what are the symptoms. If you after you ingest, even though following the dosages, but it is, as I mentioned earlier, most of the supplement, most of the nutrition that actually we include in our body, it is actually custom based. It is not it's actually individualized. It's not actually one for all for one kind of thing. So you need to know your own body. There's limitation on one own body. So you need to know the changes in terms of the symptoms, changes to the vision, changes to the bone and joint pain, changes to the skin, muscle weakness. So you have to look, it's individualized, all right? Individualized. Nutrition is individualized. It's not all for one or all for one, of one for all, okay? So you need to listen to your body and try to actually adapt on what it says and look at the symptom and go to the physician if you need to, right? Through the FDA Commission statement in 2019, even though most of the dietary supplements are in the market without any regulatory framework, however, there are some pending acts or things like that that can be regulatory where it can be brought to the legal system. Okay, so actually they can public can actually take action, and actually with that with certain death or things like that, they can sue on this manufacturers and whatnot. But then again, it is a very complicated issue, and yeah, usually we do not want to be until to that stage. Yeah, so as a preliminary gesture or stand, you need to be a educated user. All athletes need to be, all personal trainers need to be an educated, knowledgeable on all this food and nutrition in terms of what can be used and what not to be used, and what are the dosages are like in terms of supplement and also ergogenic aids. Okay. So what are the substances? Which substances are banned? So do we know what are the substances that are banned? With the World Anti-Doping Code, International Standard IOC, there's a list that you can refer to. Yeah. So in terms of the prominent substance that's banned, of course, it is anabolic agents like steroids. This has been banned for many years already, 20 years. Yeah. So the last actually, probably in 1985, Ben Johnson was actually caught taking steroids. If you remember, he's a sprinter, yeah. And of course, many others as well. Michael Lewis was actually caught once. Yeah? So all this, that's one of the prohibited supplement, or we can say ergogenic aids that being used among the athletes. Yeah. Second is also peptide hormones or growth factors imitate supplements. Yeah. Just like it increases the red blood cells, we call it erythropoietins, or agents that affect the erythropoiesis, the increase of the red blood cells. Yeah, so these peptide hormones or the releasing factors are also not allowed because of the effects that it has on the physiological side to the body. Yeah, the harm side of the body to the body. Beta-2 agonists. Yeah. And other hormones and metabolic modulators, just like inhibitors of the aromatase, and then the estrogen receptor modulators, anti-estrogenic substances. So most of the hormone-related modulators are actually prohibited unless it is actually for medical purposes. Not used for sports. All right. And certain diuretic agents that is prohibited. But not caffeine. Caffeine is not prohibited. Yeah. Okay. So why is it prohibited? Because all these prohibited supplements are usually stimulants. Okay. Stimulants to performance. So it gives a bias side on certain competition, giving certain elements of inequality to athletes. Yeah. And some of it, of course, we know those are the stimulants, and the second is narcotics. Yeah, the drugs, narcotic drugs are not is prohibited in competition, especially the cannabinoids and all that. Yeah, and also glucocorticoids. So all these are named stimulant drugs that's are prohibited in competition. For certain sports, they are actually prohibited certain drugs and supplements that are prohibited. For example, in archery, acylbutolol is prohibited because of the nature of the sport. In automobile, betasolol is, all these are beta blockers, you see. So it depends on what sport you're in, because it gives a inequality of in terms of the sports. That's why it is actually prohibited in those certain sports, okay? In billiards, in darts, in golf, shooting and whatnot. So these are all the prohibited beta blockers for those certain sports. So how do we go about all these supplements? How do we monitor all this all these irregularities of supplements in the athletes and also in the competition bodies? So we go through drug testing. Yeah, that's one way of monitoring. Yeah, before any competition, there might be a random check on certain athletes on their physiological parameters, on to see whether they do take any drugs that's prohibited of taking. The other way is probably in terms of education as well, you know. So like Ms. Cherika, Rizky, and most of the lecturers at uni and other university as well, we would actually educate the future sport trainer, personal trainers, or sport trainers or sport coaches on all this prohibition on certain supplements as well. So that's another way of having it monitored globally. And of course, in terms of the association of sports as well. So they need to be not just knowledgeable, but they need to be ethical as well. Some coaches, some athlete organization do not really play a good role model on this issue. Yeah. So because to them probably winning is number one, and taking into consideration of all these prohibition drugs and supplement is not being looked at carefully. So again, it has to be not just a one-to-one kind of thing. It has to be a collaboration in all society, the individual athletes, the coaches, the sport association, and whatnot. Okay. So what's the efficacy? Right? What's the efficacy? So let's look at the athlete goals and demands of the athletes. We know that the athletes, the main thing, the main reason why they take all these supplements is because they want to win, or because of the well-being of the athletes to win. Right? So that's actually the reason why they do take all these supplements. But again, are all these individual goals of the athlete in line with the physical demands of the sport they play? That's one thing they need to take in mind. Or will this type of supplement and the athletes will actually, with the athletes per se, would achieve in what they perceive on achieving? Or what's the impact of their training or their competition? Do they know? Or all this evidence for the supplement actually support in the dosages or the usage or capacity that they actually read from the labels? Do they know all that? So it is a very tedious issue that not just athletes, the education level of athletes that actually would actually give it an effect, but how well it is actually being made known to the public on all this supplement that actually also give an effect. All right. So generally, a well-balanced diet will actually meet the caloric needs, allow the athlete to get adequate macro and micronutrients from whole balanced diet, right? I used to be, when I took my nutrition class during the state, that is about 20 years ago. So usually the nutritionist would just say, you do not even have to take your multivites or your vitamin C if you already have a well-balanced diet, right? So that's what nutritionists believe. Dietitian believe that. Because if you have a adequate balanced macro and micronutrients from whole food, you don't need all the supplements actually, unless you are really going for the extreme high intensity load of exercise or competition like Ironman or something like that. But to their concept, if you have a well-balanced diet and you know how much you should take according to your sport, how much to take according to your body weight, you do not have to take all the supplements. That's what I was told 20 years ago. Okay. I still believe that in a way, if you do know what to take and what not to take from the whole food regime process. But the problem is most of the athletes are not well versed, are not well knowledgeable in all this thing. And usually what they do is express decision making kind of thing. They would take all these supplements, correct? Right? If you have the magic supplement, for example, okay, there are claims saying you take this and you will get all these claims, or you will get, you will actually have high energy, you would actually reduce muscle injury or things like that. But the tendency of an athlete to actually go about buying the supplement, probably with all these claims, is high, all right? Because as we know right now, the generation that we have among athletes are risk-taking athletes. I will call it as risk-taking athletes. Yeah, they want fast result, okay, fast result before actually taking into consideration what these supplements will give into them, because they are not knowledgeable enough. Okay? If we compare athletes now and athletes previously 10 years ago, sad to say that athletes right now, it's quite risk-taking athletes. I've observed many athletes right now, the young athletes, they do take supplements even without engaging or even without engaging with their nutritionist or engaging with their coach on whether the supplement is safe or not, you know. So we have a study that have been made that, and most of all these, of course, not elite athletes, all these sport school athletes already take all these supplements. Yeah, in the high school, they take all these supplements so that they can win competition. They can win track and field competition or things like that. Yeah? So it's quite worrisome. It is quite worrisome. So this is the challenge that most nutritionists and dietitians and also sport nutritionists have in controlling and educating these young athletes in taking all these supplements, because supplements can be bought online, you know, can be bought online easily. So this is actually an issue that we looked at, that most sport nutritionists should look at and educate all these young athletes on this dilemma, or in this paradigm that they have on these athletes on nutrition and supplements. Yeah. So the athlete needs to know what are the overall diet. What is their overall diet? How much do they have to take? What is the total daily energy requirement that they have to take? Do they know? Probably they don't. So can the training program be optimized with this supplement if they take to meet their goals? Do they know? Probably not. And do the athletes get adequate sleep to support this recovery? Do they have enough stress management procedures to actually support their recovery with training, intense training and competition? Probably not. So actually they have to take all this consideration before actually getting into all the supplements and ergogenic aids that they might want to take. Because there's so many factors that involve besides just looking at the overall diet, probably the total daily energy expenditures. You have to take into account on how the training is like, what is their stress management is like, what is their overview in terms of their the goal for the next year, for the next 5 years. So they need to take all this into consideration before taking into account of the supplement and also in terms of the ergogenic aids. Okay, so so let me share some potential benefits. We do know that some micronutrient deficiencies, for example, need to be looked at, highlight. For example, supplementation is recommended when athletes attempt to prevent a diagnosed micronutrient deficiency. For example, vitamin C or something like that. Yeah, probably they know they're deficient in that. Yes, they can take this supplement. Okay. So they need to know their body. They need to know what are their deficiency. All right. So how do they know? From the symptoms. So if vitamin C deficiency, you will see the dryness of the skin. You will see the dryness of the lips and all that. So all those indicators on certain deficiencies of micronutrient. So they need to be, again, they need to be a knowledgeable athlete. They need to be a knowledgeable athlete. So some of the performance supplements that I will actually highlight are the caffeine, creatine monohydrate, nitrate, sodium bicarbonate, and also beta-alanine. Yeah. So these are actually being emphasized in IOC, International Olympic Committee. Okay. So, but before we actually go into that, athletes need to actually know how to read labels. Yeah, be aware of the dietary laws of the supplement. Watch out for the proprietary blends that they have in the supplement. Check on the serving size. Check on the amount per serving for on the desired ingredients, and also see all the fillers that they have in the ingredient used. Most of the fillers in the supplement are cheap fillers. We try not to use cheap filler ingredients. Yeah. So what are the cheap fillers? So those are the ingredient that are included in the supplement to make the supplement be ingested well for the body. All right. So usually the fillers are probably content of for example, cheap gelatin or something like that. Those are the fillers, right? So try to look out in the internet on potential fillers that with certain supplement that you're taking. So you will look at the cheaper type of fillers and whatnot, and look at the labels. Okay, because all the food supplements should have labels. If they don't have labels, don't buy. Don't buy all these supplements. They should have labels. Okay, they should have labels. So identify certain claims on all these supplements. These are the red flags I would like to share. First are the big claims. Usually they will have so many claims in this supplement that they have. So usually with all these claims, all this it is all what quack. We call it quack. It's not true. All these claims are not true. So you need to check on all these claims. Or they actually promise all these quick results. For example, for those athletes who would like to reduce weight, to meet all these requirement on their weight categories, for example, judo, silat, or karate, or taekwondo, because all these have weight categories, so they want to lose weight, they probably take all these supplement that promise in reducing weight in quick method. So look at it, whether it's realistic or not. If they're saying you're losing weight 5 kg in 2 days, so you have to look at it. It cannot be true. It cannot be true. All right. So yeah, most probably you'll be losing a lot of water, yeah, from that few days. But 5 kg in 2 days, it cannot be true, right? You should know that. As a knowledgeable athlete, you should know what is true and what is not. Okay. Or red flags can be alternative to prescription drugs, right? So usually prescription drugs are prescribed. It should not be no alternative on prescription drugs. So you need to understand this, right? You need to understand what is the implication when you take alternative to prescription drugs. For example, let's say for example, you should be taking some drugs that decrease your inflammation of skin or decrease the inflammation of certain symptoms that you have. So you, when it's already prescribed, try not to use other alternative supplement that claim to have the same prescription of the drugs. All right, unless you are pretty sure, unless there are registered supplement claims or registered from the authorities, or else stay away from all these alternative supplements. Some other red flags are the proprietary blends. Proprietary blends means that it is actually a mixture of many ingredients. Okay, so as I said just now, the interaction between many ingredients in one supplement, it is not known in many of these supplements. So try to look and have always look out on this type of blends that they claim. Okay. So recommendation for third-party supplement testing, all these are all in terms of lab testing, all right? So what I can say, summarize is you need to read the label well, you need to check who are the manufacturers, you need to check whether the authorities had been made, whether it's the suitability of the supplements, or all this need to be checked in terms of recommendation for the third party, meaning that you are actually using it from the end from the user from the internet. So that is actually third party supplement testing. All right. Okay. Example I would probably share is some of the products in the market are banned by major athletic organizations. So you can you can check from all these organizations. So IOC is one example, yeah. Or the content of the supplement actually match what is printed on the label. You can also check with this. The third thing is probably you can actually check whether the materials being used are in the same level or not from the labeling. And the product that is manufactured, is it registered in the GMP or is it known by their GMP registration and whatnot? So until it is actually known whether they are registered or not, then probably it is authorized and it can be kind of safe, yeah, to take it. So so all these things are informed choice that you need to make before taking all the supplements. So as a summary for this topic, for this slide, actually I have 2 slides. What time is it now? Already 11. Okay, I have few half an hour at least. So what you should with this first slide, what I could say is before taking any supplement, you need to be a very knowledgeable user. You need to find out who are the makers, so the manufacturers. You need to find out what are the ingredients. Okay, you need to find out the dosages that's involved. So all these things are important before you actually go into all the supplements, and you are attracted to it because of the big claims that they make with these supplements. Yeah, so you need to be a knowledgeable athlete. Yeah. Before ingesting or consuming all these supplements, inshallah. Any question before I go on with the second slide? Any questions so far?
Miss, excuse me.
Ma'am.
Yes, Richard.
Okay.
At some point, supplements can cause organ damage. Is it right?
Oh yes, Richard.
So is it okay for us to take a supplement when we using a medicine from a doctor?
Okay, good question. I've mentioned this just now. There is an interaction between medication and also supplement. So before taking any supplement, you have to check with your physician, doctor, in other words, doctor, and also your nutritionist. Probably, I don't know how it is in Indonesia. In Malaysia, most elite athletes, what I mean by elite athletes, athletes who are representing the nation, representing Malaysia, they do have their own nutritionists. So if they actually have some medication to take, and they have and they would like to take any supplement, they need to consult. It is mandatory. It is actually a must for them to consult with their nutritionist. I'm not sure whether how this is in Indonesia. I think it is the same way. And that is for the elite athlete. We have many elite athletes from these 5 sports for high performance sports, which is the track and field, the badminton athletes. We have for the hockey. We have for the cyclists, and we also have for the what's the other one? Divers, swimming divers. So these are the 5 main high performance sports in Malaysia that mostly all of them have their own nutritionist. So they have to consult with this nutritionist before taking on any supplement, if they are on any medication. But other athletes who are based on association, we also have many sports association who actually representing on this association to compete in this many sports. Sad to say, not all sport association they have a nutritionist. Okay, not all. Many have, but not all association. Then they will have problems. Okay, when all this thing without any nutritionist, then that is why all these athletes need to be knowledgeable on their own. Sad to say, because many sport associations that don't have enough funding to employ own nutritionists, right? Because so we have so many sport association in Malaysia. I'm sure Indonesia have the same thing, have the same scenario, have many sports association, and many do not have their own sports nutritionist because of lack of funding. All right. So yes, if you are an athlete, if you are taking medication, yes, you need to find out with certain authorities. If not from the nutrition, you need to find out from the doctor on their supplementation that they would like to plan to take with their medication. Yes, they do have to.
Okay, thank you, Miss.
All right, you're welcome. Any other questions before we go on?
Yeah,
Yes,
I
ma'am.
have.
Yes, ma'am. I have one.
Oh, the first one, Ahmad Faisal.
All right, Rizky.
No, Ahmad Faisal first, doctor.
Ahmad Faisal.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, all right. Okay, what's your question?
It's about vitamin supplement.
Okay.
Is it good if we consuming vitamin tablet that we buy in the pharmacy, or is it just we need vitamins from the fruit?
Okay, all right. Vitamins and minerals are, as I mentioned just now, vitamins and minerals are supplement that is not regulated. And it can be bought, it's not prescribed, you see. It can be bought from the pharmacy. Yes, you can get it from the pharmacy, but you need to be knowledgeable in terms of the labeling, all right? So as I mentioned just now, look at the labels. A vitamin vitamin A, D, E, K, which is fat-soluble vitamins, you definitely have to know what are the dosage required by these vitamins, okay? Because why? because excess can actually give toxicity to your body. All right, because it is actually not secreted out from your urine. Okay, but water soluble vitamins like vitamin C and B complex vitamins, we call them as water soluble vitamins. So those vitamins, theoretically, if you do take in excess, it can be excreted out from the body. However, there are certain B complex vitamins are not excreted as best from the urine, like for example B6 and whatnot. So with this, you need to actually find out what are the label. What does the label say? What does the label say? And the sources from the supplement should be reliable enough that you can rely on those labeling. Okay. Usually, certain brands in Malaysia, we know they are good brands. So usually we do not have any problems with it. For example, we have the UPHA pharmaceutical brands. So these certain brands are known to be safe in the market. But certain brands that are not safe in the market are the brands that are from the imported community, which is from China, for example. So these are the brands that you need to have a thorough check before taking it. So I'm sure Indonesia have the same thing. There are certain brands of vitamins and minerals that are safe brands that you can take, right? I'm sure. So you go ahead and take these vitamins, minerals, and follow the dosages. That's fine. Only have a extra caution from all these imported brands, from China, from India, from these brands that you do not know what are their GMP status or things like that. So yes, what my question, from your question, my answer is yes, you can take from the prescription of vitamins and minerals from the pharmacy in consideration that they are the good brands in Indonesia. All right. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
All right.
Ma'am, I have a question.
Yes.
So I assume that it's better to not consume supplements unless I on some program at a certain program. The question is, what is your top 3 real food that contains these supplements? That's vitamins. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's why it's all in the labeling. It's all in the labeling. So for example, if you take multivites, they would say you have vitamin C, vitamin B complex that include B6, B3, B12. So it's all in the labels. You see, it's all in the labels. So the only difference between one brand to another are the fillers that's being used. All these supplements need fillers so that whatever they have in the supplement, it is well blended. You see, well blended. So all these fillers there are some fillers who are cheap fillers which can be toxic to the body compared to the more expensive fillers which can be okay with the body. So that is why usually sometimes when you buy certain products, buy certain supplement at a certain price, for example, okay, you need to be wise. You need to be wise. Let's say, for example, from this pharmacy, certain vitamins, vitamin C, it is actually, for example, let me just give you a reason. Analogy is standard price for that is 30 ringgit US dollars. Yes.
I mean, real food that contains these vitamins on the supplements.
Okay. You mean food?
Yeah.
Okay, food. There are so okay. If you look at food, there are so many food that, for example, vitamin A you can get it from carrots. You can get from milk. Yeah. I think you have done this in your basic nutrition class. Yeah. Okay. It's okay. Maybe next week I can give you the example on this basic nutrition slides that I can, so you can have it so that you can refer later on. Vitamin A, what are the sources of food that you can get from? Vitamin C, what are the sources? Okay, I can actually have that give to you through Rizky, and you can look later on. All right,
Okay.
Zikur, Rahman.
Okay, Miss.
Okay,
Ma'am.
all right, good.
Can I summarize for a brief summarize maybe?
Okay, all right.
Dr. Roxana. So jadi kalau di Indonesia itu vitamin yang bisa dikonsumsi itu minimal cek dulu ada BP POM-nya apa enggak. Jadi dicek nanti setiap kamu beli suplemen itu kalau misalkan ada BP POM jadi sudah melewati pengawasan nanti itu dianggap aman untuk dikonsumsi. Jadi makanya tadi Dr. Roxana bilang cek the labeling itu maksudnya kalau cek the labeling itu cek kontennya ada apa aja. Tapi saya kasih tahu dulu jadi pertama itu cek dulu itu ada sertifikat dari BP POM-nya apa enggak. Nah, nanti setelah ada baru cek labeling. Nah, di cek labeling itu kenapa tadi Dr. Roxana bilang ada B kompleks dan segala macamnya itu yang agak sulit untuk dicerna. Ketika sudah B kompleksnya banyak atau tadi Dr. Roxana bilang excess B kompleks itu berbahaya untuk dikonsumsi. Makanya tadi Dr. Roxana bilang cek vitamin yang memang di dalam suplemennya itu vitaminnya water soluble. Jadi dalam tanda kutip mudah dicerna. Jadi bisa saya simpulin bahwa vitamin B kompleks itu harus lebih rendah presentasenya dibandingkan dengan vitamin yang water soluble. Selain A, D, E, K. Jadi yang boleh dikonsumsi itu vitamin B dan C dengan kadar yang aman. B kompleks itu tidak terlalu banyak karena nanti akan excess dangers ketika kebanyakan akan berbahaya. But Dr. Roxana, I have a question. Maybe if I can ask you something. So, in the first slide, or maybe in the several slides earlier, I see that most of it give a risk. All supplements, most of it will give a risk. My question is, how to give well-educated to athlete or young athletes outside our universities, because that in the team at least maybe none of them have sport nutritionists, especially in regional. We don't ask about national team because national team has their own sport nutritionists, but in regional, like maybe in Malaysia, in Kuala Lumpur, and then in Petrajaya or something like that. So we still have a lot of province, a lot of state, a lot of regions who doesn't cover by sport nutritionist. So what's your suggestion to give supplement education so young athletes maybe will get well educated about supplement?
Okay, all right. Thank you for the question, Rizky. It's actually is a hard issue to combat with in the first place. Yes, what we do in Malaysia, probably I can give you an example. Most of the, for example, when you say young athletes, they are actually athletes representing the school. and they will actually play in games for the district games and also in the state games. So we all these coaches that are involved with all these athletes in Malaysia, most of the coaches are trained physical education trained option teachers, meaning that they are educated teachers trained in physical education and health from many institutions in Malaysia. So they do have enough knowledge in supplement and also in ergogenic aids to help with the young athletes in school. However, this might not be the case for most coaches because they are also non-option coaches who are handling with all these athletes. What I mean by non-option coaches, these are the coaches that do not have much background on physical education and health, so they do not know or they do not have enough information on sports nutrition. So when that happens, these coaches will have to actually get information from educational departments to help them on education these athletes. So each of the education department, they have the sports component, okay? So they can get information to get all this information given to the athletes through this education departments that's allocated in all states and all districts in Malaysia. So the district and all state of Malaysia, they will call the expertise from universities or colleges, or even from among the teachers who are option PE option and health. They will help in educating all these teachers and also coaches, and the coaches will actually bring down this information to the athletes. Alhamdulillah, that's what's happening in Malaysia, and the information is being given to the athletes in that manner. I think Indonesia can do the same way, using the same paradigm, doing the same method, using expertise in the district and also in the state, using many community from the communities as well, using expertise from university, from the school itself, in giving this information to the athletes. From the observation that I have, we have not actually have any much problem in terms of getting information, because when they don't know anything, they will come to the district officer and ask. So I don't think it is a problem if proper flow chart, proper system is actually made known in the education system in terms of sports. So I don't think it will be a problem. Probably you can highlight this in the district education system or something like that. Yeah, that's how it's done in Malaysia. But usually, again, not much. The education side, yes, it is important. And most of sometimes the coaches are really doing the job in educating the young athletes. But sometimes, young athletes, as we know that they're young, they like to do their own thing, trial and error. So sometimes, sometimes we some certain incidences or situation, it is quite preventable. It's not preventable because they like to experiment themselves sometimes, even though we do give all this education. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Sana. Actually, I one of them when I was on young ages. So someone give us supplement, and then we just try to
Yes.
to drink. Then we don't know what happened after that. So
Yes.
we just drink or eat what official give to us. So yeah,
Yes.
that's the problem.
Yes.
Thank you for your suggestion.
You're welcome. How much time do I have? Do I have time to actually go with the next slide?
You have half an hour, maybe.
Okay, all right. So I'll continue with the next slide. Okay, now it was just introduction on the supplements, is it? So now we'll look into the organoic aids part of it. So what's the difference between supplements and organoic aids? Yeah. So ergogenic is an adjective. Yeah. What it means from what literally it means is enhancing a performance or physical performance. Okay. So in terms of the ergogenic aids that I'll be presenting for you today is based on the IOC. Okay, the International Olympic Committee that actually introduced 5 supplements or 5 ergogenic aids that I've mentioned earlier. All right. Okay, so we know that from the IOC, the benefits in terms of the supplements or the ergogenic aids that do have effect on athletic performance, they actually summarize it to 5. Caffeine, creatine, beta-alanine, nitrate, and sodium bicarbonate. Okay, and this is actually being used by many athletes, all right, for performance, increase in performance as ergogenic aids. So as an overview, you know what ergogenic means. It means increasing performance, physical performance. And from each of these 5 ergogenic aids, I will go through in terms of the mechanism of the ergogenic aid of the supplement, what the benefit is, what it does, and also the dosages in terms of recommended dosages, and also some of the potential side effects. And please keep note that few of these ergogenic aids do have some potential side effects, depends on individual. Because as I said, most nutrition or functional food is individualized. It's not all for one for all kind of thing. So it can be bad for me, or it can be good for you, it can be bad for me. So it depends. Yeah, it depends. So we'll start with caffeine. Caffeine, we know that caffeine is actually a natural alkaloid, right? And it's actually, the caffeine is presented in the leaves or the fruit and the seeds of many plants such as coffee or tea. We know that all these plants have caffeine, especially coffee, high concentrated in coffee, yeah? And caffeine is well-studied supplement and is really widely used among athletes, okay? And what is the mechanism of caffeine? Why is it an ergogenic aid? Why do we call it an ergogenic aid? It is because when caffeine is metabolized by the liver, all right, through the action of enzymes, it is actually results in paraxanthine and theophylline and theobromine. So these are the composition of the caffeine that we have that have all this composition, right? So following the ingestion of the caffeine, when it appears in the bloodstream within 15 to 45 minutes, let's say, for example, after taking caffeine, 15 to 45 minutes, it will actually peak, the level will peak appearing about an hour or so in your bloodstream, all right? So multiple mechanism will be the ability to cross blood-brain barrier as well as membrane for all tissues in the body. Okay, so the mechanism of caffeine, even at low doses, the effect of central or peripheral nervous system. That is one effect of caffeine in terms of the system that it gives to is the central or peripheral nervous system, right? Because our nervous system have two, correct? We have the central and also the peripheral nervous system, right? Competing with adenosine at the receptor sites. So this is the mechanism of caffeine to the system. So what is the ergogenic aid? What benefit does it give? With this mechanism, it actually enhances endurance performance. It has been looked at many 10 years back in caffeine. It enhances endurance performance because it increases fat utilization of the body. What it means is it utilizes free fatty acid to use in sports. While you are actually performing in sports, it gives the usage of free fatty acid in the system so that you'll be using free fatty acid most of the time and conserving your glycogen spares. Yeah? You're conserving your glycogen in your muscle and also your liver. So that is a benefit for endurance performance. Yeah, that's benefit for endurance performance. Number two, it also improve reaction time. It also improve concentration and self-perceived energy levels when actually you are sleep deprived. Okay, so this is actually, for example, usually when you use even when you are a student, you take coffee or you take caffeine beverages to increase your wake cycle time so that you are alert and probably you are alert in studying or something like that. So this is actually in concentration part or whatnot, ergogenic aid of the caffeine. Number three, as I mentioned just now, is actually enhanced glycogen resynthesis. This is actually in terms of glycogen sparing and resynthesis to use again your glycogen when it is in need. All right. So again, it helps in number one just now. Number four is also improve performance in repeated high intensity exercise bouts. For example, in soccer, or for example in hockey. Yeah. So it can actually increase in terms of the agility that you'll be using most in those type of sports. And also very much so, very little is known in terms of strength-based kind of sports. For example, in terms of 1 RM lift or something like that. Not much we can say on the high the sport in terms of strength training in terms of caffeine. But what I can say is there are some studies that's been related with caffeine on certain bouts of strength training in terms of the intensity, not the intensity, but the repetition that's being used. For example, it increases, the number of reps that you can do with low amount of load. There are studies that says it does give increased performance in that manner. But all this while, the ergogenic benefit from caffeine, one is through endurance performance. Yeah, for example, cycling, running, 42 kilometer running, the Tour de France cycling or things like that. It does give ergogenic benefit for many years already, for many 10 years, 15 years. Now for the 5 years, it does give improvement on this team sport performance as well. Not much on strength, 1 RM strength training performance, but there are some on the the increase of repetition in strength training. Okay, so so far that is the ergogenic benefit on caffeine. All right, found in caffeine. So what are the dosages? What is the recommended use? In terms of the recommended use, you have to use it at least 1.5 to 3 milligrams per body weight, per kilogram body weight. So it is according to your body weight. Let's say, for example, you are 50 kilograms body weight. So how much you should take is about 1.5 to 3 milligrams times your body weight. All right, to be effective. All right. A dose of 3 to 6 milligram per kilogram body weight is the effective or the safe dosage for caffeine. High dosages that has been brought up in studies, more than 9 milligram per kilogram body weight, provide not much of further benefit, and actually do have some side effects, significant side effects as well, right? So what are the side effects? Side effects can be insomnia, you won't be able to sleep, and then you at night, you will have headache. Headache, not just plain headache, can be up to migraine. It can increase nervousness or anxiety in a person. It can give gastrointestinal problems. So these are among the side effect of caffeine. Yeah, when you take in multi-dose or really high doses from the recommended dose that's given. Right. So this is caffeine. Right. Usually, what athletes do, they do not take the caffeine in terms of coffee or tea, but they do take caffeine from tablets. Yeah. And there are researchers who that actually found that genetics do play a role in how caffeine affects someone. It means that certain gene in certain people have the sensitivity of certain genes where they will actually have certain effect on this individual, will actually have reduce the sensitivity of caffeine. That means they do not give many caffeine benefits on these certain individuals. So let's say, for example, we do give caffeine to this athlete, but not much significant difference found is because of this genetic element of caffeine to this individual. Okay. Any question so far on caffeine?
I have a question, Miss.
Yes.
Is that good for a long term?
Yes. Caffeine can be used so far. If you will use the correct dosages, it does not give so far. Okay, so far it does not give really a bad effect on your renal or your liver. So far, it's stated that as long as you keep with the dosage, recommended dosage. Okay.
If I have hypertension, is that good for?
Oh, if you have hypertension, you have to look out on caffeine because caffeine is a stimulant. When you have hypertension, it actually contradicts. All right. So again, yeah, you need to get further recommendation from your physician, from your doctor. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Miss.
Okay, you're welcome. Any other question before I go on with creatine? How much time do I have, Rizky?
20 minutes remain.
Okay, 20 minutes. All right. Okay, I have time. Okay, let's go with creatine. Okay, the next glutamate aid that's recommended by IOC is creatine. And what is creatine? Actually, creatine can be developed or it can be synthesized in the kidney. We know that. Or it can be synthesized in liver, in pancreas, and to a lesser extent, even in the brain. But however, the synthesis of creatine from amino acid from glycine, adenine, and methionine can be done as well. Yeah. So besides having it, synthesizing it from our body, probably it is not enough for certain sport or certain athlete. You can get it from certain from creatine, supplementation of creatine. All right. So the total body creatine pool that actually available in the body actually include from the creatine and also the phosphocreatine, yeah, which is actually from the body. Okay, skeletal muscle actually is the primary site of the storage creatine that's actually accumulated in the body, accounting up to 90% of the total body pool. The creatine are in the skeletal muscle. Okay, so the total body creatine pool can also be increased by ingestion, creatine monohydrate, or ingestion from food high in creatine. So all this, what type of food? So food from animal sources, animal sources. Because why? Because as I said just now, most of the site of creatine is in the skeletal muscle. So it has to be from the animal sources. So you can get it from meat, you can get it from beef, you can get it from fish, okay? Or you can get it from your nutritional supplementation. Yeah. So what's the mechanism of creatine? So we know that phosphocreatine is an important energy source for high intensity, short duration muscle contraction. We know that. And creatine is essential for the regeneration of phosphocreatine, right? So the creatine kinase, which is actually phosphocreatine in the phosphocreatine system, serve as an energy buffer in the cell with high, and actually it fluctuates the energy requirement of the creatine phosphate. Okay, so with the help of what? With the help of creatine kinase, okay, to develop this creatine that can be used for activity or sports. Yeah. So what it does for the ergogenic effects that it does in the creatine that you ingest later on, what it does from the study is it actually increases short-term benefit following. There's one thing about creatine is you need to have a loading. There's a loading phase. Yeah, you cannot just take one and you expect to have high creatine in your system. No, it does not work that way. There is a loading phase with creatine. So how you do it is there is a short-term 5 to 7 day loading phase that you need to do with creatine, and what it does, it can increase power production. So meaning, what you mean by power production, you can actually increase workload in 1 RM from 50 kg to 60 kg, for example. All right, that's power production. Or in sprint performance. So many creatine users are because they are sprinters. Third is because work performed in multiple sets or maximum effort, meaning that when you do powerlifting, you have many sets that you have to do. So this is actually good in terms of the work performed in that type of sports. Yeah. So besides that, besides the short-term high burst kind of sports performance, it also can increase in terms of training, in terms of to increase your lean mass gain, to increase your fat-free mass, okay, or to improve strength and improve power. Yeah. So again, it elevated your creatine levels to actually increase all these elements in your body. Okay, and also not there are 1 or 2 studies being done to reduce lactate as well, and also to decrease oxygen cost. But again, these two the studies that involve reducing lactate and also to decrease oxygen cost is actually not many, only 1 or 2 that actually have significant effect. So I would not recommend that you will say this generally that will give that effect. But I would recommend the first few that I say is for power production, for actually increase lean mass or fat-free mass, and also improve strength and increase power. So this is the element that the ergogenic effects that has been prominent in that way. Okay. So unlike other ergogenic aids, okay, even though creatine is produced by the body, so why do we need to actually supplement with further creatine? It is because, okay, pre-supplement muscle creatine concentration is actually not enough, probably, to certain athletes in certain sport. Okay, so and number 2 is probably few individuals actually do not have enough creatine in their muscle, especially when we look at what type of muscle fiber do they have in their muscle. We know that actually we have many types of muscle, correct? We have the fast twitch and the slow twitch, correct? From your exercise physiology. So usually for those who are with the fast twitch muscle fiber, type 2A and type 2B, there are differences between the creatine that's in their muscle. All right. So in this manner, those with less creatine produced in the or storage in their muscle mass, who are involved in high, short, robust, high intensity exercise or competition, they need to actually take from supplement. So that's this type of athletes need to take a supplement of creatine. Okay, so this is why some it differs from certain sport, and also it differs from certain athlete. Depends on how much they have in their skeletal muscle to begin with. All right, understand? Yeah, and so if you want to take your supplement from raw food, as I mentioned just now, from sources from animal sources. So how much meat do you take? How much fish do you take from all these sources? So from the studies that align with Harris et al. In 2002, it is mentioned that for every 3 to 6 grams, for every 1.1 kilogram of raw meat estimated. Okay, so and also not just on how much you should take, it is also on how the food is produced, how the food is processed should also be considered. That is why some athletes have their meat medium rare, not really fully cooked, because not fully cooked meat will actually have higher content of creatine. All right, but there are certain risks as well when you take not fully cooked meat, because you can get certain in terms of diseases as well, in terms of food poisoning or something like that. So you have to weigh your pros and cons. You have to weigh your pros and cons, especially from fish and also from shellfish. The higher risk of getting contaminated food from because of toxicity of mercury and things like that is higher among all this food, that probably you need to weigh the pro and cons in terms of the food that is being taken. So what I'm saying is, even though from study it says cooking affect creatine in meat, because it actually in fully cooked meat will reduce the content of creatine in the meat, but you also need to consider on the possibility of risk of getting food contamination or food poisoning in a way. Yeah, so you need to weigh the pro and cons on where you buy the meat sources and things like that, where you eat the meat sources or things like that. All right. Okay. So that is actually the consideration I would like you to look at in terms of the raw sources food that you can take from for creatine. For creatine. However, most of the athletes do take creatine from supplements, and the most common are creatine monohydrate. It is most common form in the market, and actually it is because it increases whole body creatine to a greater extent than eating your meat, your ordinary meat. Okay, there are many other creatine supplement, other forms of creatine supplement, for example, ethyl ester, but from studies and from observation, ethyl ester do not found to increase muscle creatine to much extent like creatine monohydrate. So I would suggest, if you want to take creatine supplement and you are involved in sports that do need you to take creatine supplements, do take creatine monohydrate. Okay. Okay, so what is the recommended use of creatine monohydrate? So as I mentioned just now, creatine differ from caffeine. You do not have to load yourself. Creatine do have some loading phase. So what you do is, for the first 5 days, for the first 5 or 7 days, you need to load yourself with 20 grams per day of creatine, or 5 grams per day for 4 weeks, to actually have that loading creatine in your skeletal muscle. Okay, and this is needed so that you can actually use the creatine will be enough for you to use within during your training for that stipulated time or stipulated competition time that you need when you need it. Okay, and beside the loading phase, you also need to maintain. Let's say, for example, you do not have training or you do not have competition. You do not have to load yourself. You do not have to go through the loading phase. All you have to do is maintain yourself with 5 grams daily. All right. So for athletes in this situation, for athletes who do want to take creatine monohydrate, you need to consider the loading phase of creatine monohydrate and also the maintenance phase of creatine monohydrate. Okay. Creatine supplementation also will also uh, result in endogenous production, meaning that it will also result with your production synthesis that you have as from the synthesis of your the normal origin. Okay. All right. What it means by cycling is not recommended is it is not recommended that you have many cycles in the program, meaning that you have loading phase and then you have maintenance and then loading phase again frequently, meaning that usually you have the loading phase after before your competition, and after that you have your maintenance phase, and then before another competition you have loading phase. Yeah, so it should not fluctuate too often. That's what it means by cycling. Not recommended. It should not fluctuate too often. All right. So it has to be gradually implemented in a very concise manner and systematic manner in terms of loading phase and maintenance phase. If you are actually using creatine monohydrate, potential side effects of creatine. Not much of side effect being portrayed in the studies except for weight gain. All right. So yes, if you are a weightlifter, if you are involved in weightlifting, you're a weightlifter, you are power lifters. So yes, usually you do take. We recommend you to take creatine monohydrate. In terms of genetics and creatine, like caffeine, some individuals do not respond well with creatine ingestion. So you need to also take note on this. Why? Probably because some individuals with greater proportion of type 2 muscle fiber are more likely to have higher concentration of creatine in the muscle. So when they have enough creatine in the muscle, supplementation will not give any significant results. Most of the studies says that if you do not have enough available in the skeletal muscle, this creatine monohydrate supplementation will give significant results in your powerlifting or things like that. All right, understand? Yeah. So most individuals are usually likely to benefit from this supplementation because they don't have enough in the skeletal muscle to begin with. All right, understand? Yeah. Any questions before I go with the next one?
Miss, excuse me.
Yes.
So what is the difference between monohydrate keratin and steroid, and what is
Okay.
more
Creatine
recommended
monohydrate. Okay. Creatine
between
monohydrate.
keratin?
Creatine monohydrate is synthesized normally with our body. Is synthesized with our body, but creatine that is creatine. But creatine monohydrate is a supplement that is used and is actually legal use by IOC. You can use it. Steroid is not legal. Android steroid is not legal. Anabolic steroids is not legal. It's illegal. You cannot use anabolic steroids in sports performance. It's illegal. All right. So that's the difference.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
And of course, anabolic steroids, the side effect is just tremendous. Anabolic steroids have many side effects. Okay. They have many side effects.
Sorry for the inconvenience, Dr. Roxana, but
Yes.
your time is end, I think.
Yeah.
So sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. So I hope everyone look at their own on the other supplements or the other ergogenic aids. Then if you have questions, you can ask me later on next week. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, Miss.
Okay. All right.
I'm very sorry, Dr. Roxana, because they will have another classes
Yes. Yes.
after
Understand.
this.
No problem. It's okay.
Sorry. Okay. Maybe we'll close this class with a sentence.
So hopefully everyone understand. Ergogenic aids is a very famous topic, not just in the Western, in the West, but in Malaysia as well. Because supplements and ergogenic aids is it's very common and very famous in Malaysia and also among athletes. So they have so many questions when I always talk about this topic. Yeah. So hopefully it actually give you some idea on the legal aspect on what are considered safe and what are considered legal to take in sport competition and what not to take in sport competition in terms of ergogenic aids and supplements.
Oke, terima kasih untuk sana. Jadi saya simpulin kalau misalkan, jadi kalau kalian dengar steroid itu jelas harus nggak boleh dikonsumsi ya. Tapi kalau kreatin yang tadi contohnya ada di daging itu bisa dikonsumsi dengan takaran yang sesuai karena side effect-nya itu akan terjadi penambahan berat badan. Nah, sementara ketika kreatin sendiri itu perlu 5-7 hari kalau mau di loading, kalau mau ditimbun dulu. Kenapa? Karena tadi ternyata banyak manfaatnya, ada meningkatkan kekuatan, powernya juga, dan meningkatkan kerja atau performa ketika melakukan loading protein atau loading kreatin 5-7 hari sebelum pertandingan. Tapi memang itu khusus untuk atlet. Kurang lebihnya mohon maaf. Begitu ringkasan dari
I
saya.
have one more.
Yep.
If you take creatine, monohydrate, you should not take caffeine. There is interaction between creatine monohydrate and caffeine. If you take caffeine, the interaction is negative. So meaning you will not get good effect of the creatine monohydrate. Okay? Sorry, I forgot about it.
Oke, jadi kreatin monohydrate kalau dikonsumsi dengan kafein itu justru tidak akan memberi efek apa-apa. Ya, itu kurang lebih dari Dr. Roxana. Ibu Cerika ada tambahan sebelum saya tutup? Oh, nggak ada tambahan Ibu Cerika? Kalau gitu, terima kasih atas perhatiannya teman-teman semua. Terima kasih Bu Dr. Roxana sudah menyempatkan waktu. Ibu Cerika juga terima kasih. Mohon maaf kalau selama kegiatan ada kata-kata yang kurang berkenan. Terima kasih atas perhatiannya. Saya tutup. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, thank you. Waalaikumsalam.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Miss
Sampai ketemu
Roxana.
minggu
Yuk,
depan.
Mem
Sehat
Roxana.
selalu.
Okay, thank you, Miss
Waalaikumsalam.
Cherika. We'll see you next week,
Ya, thank
inshallah.
you, Miss.
Thank you.
Insya Allah
Okay,
kita
alright.
ketemu minggu depan.
Okay.
Silakan boleh lah kalau mau. Terima kasih Mas Munawir.
Gimana kau, Cak?
Kok ada itu? Pergi dong.
Rambut gua rano. Kampus gak, Cak?
Kampus bentar. Ambil kolokan.